Also, a troop of soldiers invades the Auckland headquarters and scoops nearly €500,000. Suzanne Campbell explores the world of food tourism and breaks the borders from nutrition to tackle climate and violence. We'll be talking to Northern Secretary James Kirkland. The text is 5155 minutes. You can follow us on Twitter at Live China. Or you can email the paper at TV.live. And the first text today is
stopping now.
It's a welcome boost to the wages, alright. Like that amount of money, it's a strange sensation. It hasn't really set in now, to be honest.
Army wages are exactly how it might be, so it's nice to get a bit of a bonus, isn't it?
Right, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. They're not exactly great, but the amount of money that usually takes away now is 6 months that you have to spend away from the family to earn that kind of money, so it'll keep lads that have kids at home for maybe another year or two, you know, before they have to go away again. And I'm sure they're delighted out there now to be coming home and they'll have their overseas money as well, so it's a good boost for the two boys as well, yeah.
What's the plan for the next couple of days now? Relax or really back to work straight away?
I'd say after tonight it'll be recover for the next couple of days, but I'm back working first thing myself Thursday, so I don't know what the rest of the lads are at, but I'll just get back into it now, you know, and try to calm down after this. It's not a life changing, you know, but it's enough to get someone started if they want to buy a house or something like that. It's enough to get you started on a ladder. It's nice to not have to worry about money now for a couple of months, you know. You do your 6 months away from your family to try to get your deposit for the house now, but this gives you that first step on the ladder with the house, so it's a good amount to win, and it's nice to not have to work for it either. But it seems like you've got 2 loans. My wife is your first child in December, so it's great timing altogether. We'll have to see, maybe draw up a wish list and see what happens.
Are you going to stop or are you going to keep going?
No, we're going to keep going. We're 20% and we're happy to keep going. Sure, you never know, lightning might strike twice. Just keep going and see what happens, as I said.
Are you getting parties down in the place tonight?
Maybe not in the barracks, but maybe down the town. We'll have to do that, sorry. Thanks very much.
Not life-changing, but very nice for all of that. We have sport coming up after the break with Siobhan.
You don't have to be a genius to find the best deals in tiles, batteries, and wood. Just get to Tile Style for up to 50% off tiles, 25% off batteries and stone, plus massive reductions on wood flooring. Tile Style, Retail Excellence National Store of the Year at Ballymax Retail Centre. See tilestyle.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you self-employed or working in the public or private sector? A greater understanding of the law relevant to your job could significantly boost your career prospects. King's Inns provides specialist part-time courses in law open to lawyers and non-lawyers. Commencing in October, learn about employment law, corporate and white-collar crime, juvenile justice, planning, immigration and asylum, legislative drafting, public procurement, and the democratic process. Details and closing dates visit kingsinns.ie. On to you, Radio 1.
This December, the hilarious and heartwarming Broadway show, The Musical, comes to Portage Energy Theater for a strictly limited season. Based on the much-loved Tom Hanks movie classic, The Musical features an all-star cast led by Strictly Come Dancing champion Jamie Gittes as Josh, a joyous musical spectacular for all ages. Opening December 7th, for 1 month only. Tickets available now.
Entertainment updates with RTE Radio 1.
Now it's time for sport with Siobhan. Thank you. It may have proved just a step too far for Donegal this year, but Celtic are back in Champions League group stage action this season. In his debut season with the Scottish champions, Brendan Rodgers has safely guided the side through the often difficult qualifying series. They face both Manchester City and Borussia Mönchengladbach later in the tournament. Their opening task tonight is the might of Barcelona and the Nou Camp. BBC Scotland's Roddy Forsyth is in the capital of Catalonia ahead of the game, and we spoke with them a short while ago.
Well, certainly, of course, they began with a defeat in Gibraltar of all places, and they found it tricky to get through the tie in Israel against Hapoel Beersheba, where they really were hanging on by their fingertips, and it took a Craig Gordon penalty save to make sure that they did reach the group stage. But that said, these are traditionally very difficult for teams to get through. Celtic over the past 2 seasons haven't been able to do so, and Neil Lennon, when he was manager and managed to do it twice, said that the only times during the season when he endured sleepless nights were during the Champions League qualifiers, because so much of the good fortune or ill fortune of the season depended on whether you got through these or not. The tough work has been done in getting here, and now a whole other category of work has to be addressed, because this is arguably the toughest of all the European group sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Brendan Rodgers saying in the build-up to this game that his side won't be fearful of taking on Barcelona, but it is a pretty daunting task. But surely they'll be able to take something out of the fact that they were really emphatic winners of the Old Firm at the weekend.
Well, in some ways they can, and in other ways they have to banish that thought from their mind, because this will be a very different category of game when you're playing against a forward line with Suarez and Messi and Neymar. Any one of them against you would be daunting, but to have the three are certainly the best football attack in the world, and perhaps, according to Rodgers, the best attack ever. I think that's a large claim, but it's arguable. Then you have a whole different mindset when you're going into this game as opposed to being at home to a reshaped Rangers in the first league game for 4.5 years. I think Celtic were impressive on Saturday, but I don't think they were at their best. It certainly didn't seem to me that they had to be. That said, Celtic played on Saturday, don't forget, without their top scorer Lee Griffiths, and he'll be out again tonight. That offers a place for Moussa Dembele, 20-year-old, came in from Fulham, been scoring steadily, got that hat-trick there, the first in over 50 years in an Old Firm game. But again, it's a different story when you're having to play football without the ball, as Celtic will have to do for most of the proceedings tonight.
You always look for an edge in this kind of game, and with Brendan Rodgers knowing Luis Suarez the way he does that create that edge perhaps that Celtic will be looking for?
We talked to him yesterday about Luis Suarez, and as is always the case when Brendan Rodgers speaks about the forward, he speaks about him in enormously glowing terms. But when it comes to knowing the tricks, and he does know the tricks and techniques of Luis Suarez, as he said, it's not me who's out there playing. The best I can do is tell the defenders who are likely to have to deal with him what his inclinations are. He said they have to be the ones who do it. Yet Alaves proved that you can beat Barcelona, so it shows that if you get them on an off day, which doesn't happen very frequently, then there is the possibility of inflicting damage or coming away with something from there. Don't forget, when Neil Lennon was here, we saw the two extremes. Celtic beat them in a home game in 2012, and it took a Jordi Alba goal in injury time to beat Celtic in the Nou Camp. Yet a year later, Celtic were thrashed 6-1, Neymar was rampant, and Neil Lennon called into question the character of his players. So it's a place where you can enjoy jubilation. It's a place where you must sometimes endure destruction.
You mentioned Alaves, they beat Barca at the weekend, and the week previous they conceded 2 against Betis. So is there questions that there are goals to be found, and it's a matter of Celtic finding them tonight? Do you think they need to score? Do they need to put up a good performance if even they weren't to come away with the win?
Celtic would happily grab a draw right now in this section if you could guarantee them it, but the chances of them achieving it with a goalless draw are pretty remote based on their form so far. They just don't keep clean sheets. If, for example, when they went into the Old Firm game on Saturday, neither they nor Rangers had a league clean sheet to their name. So the powerful feeling here is that it would be an astonishing achievement for Celtic to keep Barcelona completely at bay. Barcelona are a team whose commitment to attack doesn't mean that they don't defend well, but of course their general philosophy is that if anybody scores against them, then they will score twice. So as you say, it is a terrifically daunting prospect for Celtic.
And that was Robbie Forsyth with Siobhan Madigan, and now we'll take a look at what's still to come on today's programme. He may have found his mojo, but has Fine Gael fallen out of love with Enda Kenny? Is it time to go? Ahead of a financial report on NAMA's northern operations, we'll be looking at the story of Ireland's bad bank, how it was meant to function and how it always had the potential to cause trouble. Gardaí excavates site in County Kerry Forest for a man missing more than 25 years. UKIP's Nigel Farage on Brexit, British politics. Donald Trump's bid for the US presidency. And remember the UK nurse who contracted Ebola? The latest twist in that story. All these stories coming up here on Drive Time after the news with Eileen Dunn.
Good evening. The Taoiseach Enda Kenny has responded to questions about his leadership by saying it wasn't a time to be messing around with party politics. At the close of the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party meeting in Newbridge in County Kildare, Mr Kenny reiterated that he would not be walking away from his mandate. He also signalled that there were legal issues about setting up a commission of investigation into the sale by the National Asset Management Agency of its Northern Ireland loan book. However, he said he wasn't opposed to a probe if warranted. Here's our political correspondent, Martina Fitzgerald.
Today, the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party focused on mental health and homelessness. However, some deputies were focusing on the party leadership. The Kerry TD, Brendan Griffin, said the leadership issue should be addressed now, while Deputy Jim Daly said it should be discussed after the budget. At a press conference, the Taoiseach was asked about this and fighting
mention a possible motion of confidence in the future. He said it was not the time to be messing with party politics pointing to Brexit and the Apple decision. A few Fine Gael TDs have discussed withdrawing their support from the government if he is not stepped down by the end of the year. However, the Parliamentary Party Chairman, Martin Hayden, said he does not envisage this happening. Meanwhile, the Taoiseach said that legal advice suggests there are difficulties about holding an investigation into the sale by NAMA of its Northern Ireland property portfolio. And Kenny said 2 sovereign jurisdictions were involved in terms of witnesses and papers. He added that they had previously looked at this in terms of setting up a commission of investigation to look at sexual abuse in safe houses involving paramilitaries. Kenny said he would consult the opposition after it was discussed by Cabinet tomorrow. Martina Fitzgerald, RT News, Newbridge, County Kildare.
Reports from Syria suggest the cessation of hostilities that came into effect at sunset yesterday is largely holding on its first full day. The UK-based monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, said it had recorded no civilian deaths in the first 15 hours of the truce. Residents in the embattled northern city of Aleppo also reported calm. UN officials have said they're ready to deliver aid to besieged areas but need better guarantees of peace. Some 250,000 civilians are estimated to be trapped in the rebel-held eastern part of Aleppo due to a siege by government forces. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has issued witness summonses and information requests to major motor insurance providers and industry groups representing insurers and brokers. The CCPC is currently investigating suspected breaches of competition law in the motor insurance sector. Evelyn McClafferty reports.
This investigation by the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission relates to industry participants openly signalling upcoming increases in premiums. The CCPC say signalling future pricing predictions or intentions may result in a degree of unspoken coordination, which may breach competition law. It says the evidence collected through both the witness summonses and the information requests will assist in establishing whether there has been a breach. The CCPC has urged anyone who believes they have evidence of the breach of competition law in the motor insurance sector to contact them.
During his first visit to Dublin in his role as Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, James Brokenshire said he was aware of the desire north and south to retain a soft border after the UK exits the EU. He made his comments at a news conference after a meeting with the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Charlie Flanagan, at Ivy House.
We are very much at that point of analysing and very much listening also to our devolved administrations, the Northern Ireland Executive, very much part of this as we seek to move forward, as we seek to initiate that approach. So, no, I think that the government is very, very clear, the ministry is very clear, my commitment very clear on the border issue being a really essential part of this and how we do not want to see that return to the previous type of hard border.
A boil water notice in County Mayo has been lifted. Restrictions were introduced earlier this month after water from the Lochmask treatment plant tested positive for cryptosporidium. Here's our Western correspondent, Pat McGrath.
It's almost 2 weeks since routine testing revealed the presence of cryptosporidium in the water supply here. Extensive testing since then has detected no further evidence of the microscopic parasite. An Environmental Protection Agency audit on the Lochmask water treatment plant found no evidence that filters failed there in the weeks prior to the detection. This afternoon's decision to lift the boil notice means some 46,000 people can resume using the public supply for drinking, food preparation, ice making and teeth brushing. The towns of Westport, Castlebar, Claremorris, Knock, Ballyhonus and Ballinrobe were impacted by the notice. Those dependent on almost 50 group water schemes around the county were also subject to the restrictions. Pat McGrath, RTE News, Castlebar, County Mayo.
Gardaí investigating the abduction and disappearance of a father of 4 from South Kerry more than 25 years ago say they're hopeful of finding a man's body. A Garda search team, backed up by the army, have begun excavating a site in bogland around a kilometre from where Charles Brooke Pickard's van was discovered, burnt out in May 1991. Here's our Southern editor, Pascal Sheehy.
Following weeks of preparation, Gardaí moved on to the site at Ballachrasheen on a back road connecting Waterville and Glencarra at first light this morning. The area measures around 40 square metres of former forestry land. Difficult terrain for a search of this nature. An excavator was moved on to the site just before midday, but most of the work will be done with metal detectors, sonar equipment and streamers. An army team is also assisting in the search. Charles Brooke Pickard was abducted from close to his home in Castle Cove in South Kerry in April 1991. A criminal gang with possible paramilitary links is believed to have been responsible. Brooke Pickard's burnt-out van was found 3 weeks later, a kilometre from the scene of today's search. This will appear to represent the best hope to date of recovering his body. Pascal Sheehy, RTE News, Ballachrasheen, South Kerry.
And the time now is 8.5 minutes past 5.
RTE Radio 1 weather with Aer Lingus. With direct flights to Hartford, Connecticut launching this September, when Smart wants to discover New England, Smart flies Aer Lingus.
Mainly dry with spells of hazy sunshine this evening, but cloudier in the southeast and east with a few showers possible. Staying cloudy tonight in the southeast and east with some rain at times in coastal districts, but elsewhere dry with broken clouds. Mist or fog patches will form inland in temperatures of 9 to 13 degrees.
RTE Radio 1 Traffic and Travel with the Hyundai Tucson, Ireland's best-selling passenger car. Hyundai, believe everything you hear.
The latest travel news from the AA. There are some inbound delays in Galway this evening, approaching Wolf Street Bridge on Father Griffin Road. Cork is busy inbound down at Foothill on the N27 Keys Hill Road, and westbound on the N28 Ring Skiddy Road approaching Shannon Park roundabout. Further east on Waterford is busy both ways on the N25 Cork Road west of Cumberland. And in Dublin, traffic is moving reasonably well this evening, but it is busy outbound from Drumcondra to Collins Avenue on the Swords Road. Finally, a compass flow system remains in place in the Limerick Tunnel with the northbound road closed until further notice. Ms. Jones, I report.
Chris, thank you very much. Sea searches have continued into a peak today at the site where a member of the Donegal Coast Guard tragically lost her life yesterday. The late Katrina Lucas has been remembered for her bravery and her generosity. Two investigations get underway into how she and 2 other Coast Guard members got into difficulty. Our reporter John Cook has the latest. Now, let's start with the investigations. John, what can you tell us?
There are 2 separate investigations into the circumstances surrounding this tragic incident in Kilkee. It was part of the ongoing search for a young teacher in his 30s from West Clare, whose car was found in the car park at West End, Kilkee on Friday last. And both the Marine Casualty Investigation Board and the Irish Coast Guard are now investigating how 41-year-old Katrina Lucas, who was searching for the missing man with 2 other volunteers, died when their rigid inflatable boat overturned in heavy swells. Now, it's expected these inquiries will take some time, and they'll obviously focus on conditions during yesterday's search and recovery operation, the Mayday call made when they got into difficulty, and other aspects of what has turned out to be a very tragic mission, but it does continue today.
And that search operation for that missing man continuing in Kilkee, and Katrina Lucas's colleagues shocked and paying tribute to their friend and instructor.
Katrina Lucas and her husband Bernard have been long-time voluntary members and instructors with the Donegal Coast Guard unit. It's one of the busiest in the country due to some very difficult search and recovery operations they regularly take part in near the cliffs of Moher. And she's also trained search and rescue dogs, as well as being a busy mother of 2 children. I know from talking to friends this evening, her daughter Emma is 17 in her leaving search year. Her son Ben is age 21 and he's in a training course. And they're obviously very difficult days for her family, but also difficult for what's often been described to me as another family of sorts, the volunteers of the Doolin crew and the Irish Coast Guard. Its online logo has a black band running through it since yesterday. Flags have been at half-mast as well as a mark of respect. Yet the work goes on, Mary, because they are still continuing that operation that Katrina was part of to recover this young West Clare man missing since the weekend and bring some closure for his relatives while also grieving themselves. Matty Shannon, the officer in charge of the Doolin Coast Guard unit, told Sean O'Rourke this morning about his friend and colleague Katrina.
She just loved the Coast Guard. That's what she wanted to do. Her husband Bernard is also in the Coast Guard, and their family are steeped in it. They're just a small family from Liscannor. They had a small farm. She had an organic garden. They had their hens. They had their small family. They go on holidays all over the world as a family. They just had a good life, and unfortunately, It's terrible. The young woman could lose her life like this. Definitely, Catherine is someone to follow and to be proud of, and to just to be part of what she is and what she was. There are many people in the Coast Guard, but Catherine was up there with the best of them, and there's no doubt about that.
That was Matty Shannon of the Donegal Coast Guard. Tributes being paid to in Katrina Lucas's home community, John, and across the country.
That's right, Mary. President Michael D. Higgins has written to express his condolences to the Lucas family. The Taoiseach Enda Kenny said one has to understand the work that volunteers do in this capacity, the way they're trained, the courage they show in appalling conditions sometimes. And he said it's so sad a woman who's given of her time, dedication and passion to help others look for a missing person has lost her own life. In Clare today, books of condolence have opened at the council headquarters in Ennis. They'll also open at the library in Ennistimon tomorrow. It's closed today as a mark of respect, along with the library branches in Corrafin and Lisdoonvarna where Katrina worked. And at her home in the North Clare coastal village of Liscannor this evening, friends and relatives are trying to comfort Katrina Lucas's grieving husband, son and daughter as they prepare for her funeral. I've learned this evening that Katrina's remains are expected to come home to Liscannor this evening, and she'll be laid to rest in Kilmacreehey Cemetery in the village after funeral mass on Thursday. I've been speaking to family friend Patrick Blake, who's part of the Liscannor Harbour Committee.
Katrina, we would say, quite giant. Whatever you would ask her to do, or Bernard, or Ben, or Emma, the whole unit as a family, all was sent to help out in every way in the parish. And then Bernard and Katrina were both in the rescue, doing rescue, and have worked tirelessly over the years to help other people in difficulty. And it's an extremely sad day for the family and the parish and Doolin Rescue to have the news that we have today.
Patrick, we hear stories about Katrina as a librarian, as a Coast Guard volunteer, someone who trained rescue dogs, as a mother of teenage and young adult children in the area as well. She seems like a very selfless person, someone who really gave back to the community.
Exactly, like her role in life was so diverse. You take the librarian who had to be so private and quiet and discreet and the whole lot, and then going into the sea, which is often so angry and so vibrant and the whole lot, and very challenging circumstances at the cliffs and different places like that. We are very close to the cliffs tomorrow. We often have accidents up there, and they're very involved in that. And it's a very stressful time.
Big construction. Last year I was here. I'm sorry.
90 million Lord